one. Give us kind of an overall assessment of how you feel about things.
Well, the way we talk around here, and Mike talks about every week, it's week to week. 5 weeks we've been 1-0, 1 week we've been 0-1, and honestly, we handle things pretty similarly after each, the coaches, the coordinators, Mike, myself, Ted, Danny, and Ryan get on our call and have our meetings, and we focus on, talk about the game, talk about the injuries, talk about roster, who's not playing the level we want, who in the building maybe deserves a shot, and this was no different. I mean, we focused more on that. The obvious, on the 0-1 week was the turnovers and the field position, and it's going to be tough to win a football game. But from a post-game meeting, this week was no different, and focus on the things that I said. So, 5 1-0 weeks and 1 0-1 week feels good.
Some would suggest what happened on Friday in Hamilton might be good for you. Do you buy that theory?
No, I mean losing is never good. I think full credit to Hamilton. They kind of gave us a dose of our own medicine, which was capitalize on the other team's turnovers, play good, tight, sound football, and find a way to win. And they did a real good job of that. And I think that was uncharacteristic of our team and the way we're built through 6 games. We pride ourselves on taking care of the ball, and I thought our defense played real well the other night and limited the damage with the turnovers. But we're good with where we're at, but obviously we need to clean up those errors. I don't think that's who we are the other night.
Yeah. No concerns then with players getting full of themselves or reading their press clippings?
No, not at all. As I said, we do a good job. As I said, Mike's been real good at stressing week to week, week to week, week to week. So just as we haven't got too full of ourselves after a few 1-0s, no one's real down in the dumps after the 0-1. We realized the things we need to correct and focus on, and it's been a good mentality. It's a long season, so you got to avoid the highs and lows, and I think we've been doing a good job of that.
Okay.
Kyle, Chris Matthews didn't make the trip originally, but he's here today. What can you tell us about his situation?
All players, he didn't make the trip for the game day. We don't travel with the non-playing players. The plan was everybody who was able to practice that came on the trip. So it's practice roster guys, the injured guys that were ready to play. So Chris's status, regardless of what happened the other night, was going to be the same. He'd be coming in with all the other guys to practice this week.
Now, had what had happened a week ago or 9 days ago or whatever it was, had that not happened, would he have been on the active roster?
I'm not going to get into that. As I said, Mike will handle the week-to-week roster discussions. I'm happy to talk big picture stuff. I'm not going to get into, just so we can stop any question you guys might have, I'm not going to talk about specific injuries, and I'm not going to talk about this week's roster. That's Mike can deal with that after today and tomorrow.
But Chris is ready to go if needed, right? Healthy and ready to go.
Yep, he's ready to go if needed.
What can you tell us about coming to Guelph? Why exactly did you do it, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, number one, we hope to accomplish, just like we would if it was any other practice week, have a good week of practice and prep and win the next football game. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish. The logic behind it was when the schedule came out and the bye weeks. I mean, we have 11 straight games here with, our schedule. There was a bye week 2, and then we have a bye week 21, and then there's a long stretch over the summer of 11 straight games. And, not ideal. But it's what we were dealt. So when Mike and I sat down and talked about there's a short week here, and it would be good for team unity and team bonding, and you guys all know who are around Mike, how important that is to us as an organization, our team, the unity for our guys, and honestly just a break from the norm, like a break from the routine of a long hot summer of waking up doing the same thing. It's good to break up the monotony. I don't know if it's the right word, but the day-to-day routine is a nice break for us. And you come in here and obviously Mike and I have nice ties here, and some of the players on the team do as well. So it's a couple of things with the short week staying, but also to break up the routine within a long 11-game stretch without a bye week.
Have you done anything similar before?
No, this is the first time we've done it. It's the first time the schedule lined up like this, and with the bye weeks and everything, it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Sorry, do one last thing. Do you think the players like it?
You'd have to ask them. I would guess, like it's just a nice break. You know, the coaches and the support staff are probably dealing with more of the chaos of being out of their routine. They probably, like a little bit more of the norm. But I think the players, anytime there's something different, I think it's enjoyable. But you have to ask the players.
One of the real positives in the first third of the year has been the continued excellence of Andrew Harris. Talk a bit about that. You're not surprised that he's doing this at 32, are you?
No, I mean, Andrew's really good. I mean, plain and simple, he's really good. He looks after his body. He knows he's a pro. He knows how to manage his rep distribution in practice and in training camp. Lapo and Berg do a real good job of managing his reps. You know, we've got good other running backs to take reps. So it's a combination of he's really good, plain and simple. He looks after his body like a pro, and he knows how to manage his reps, and we do a good job of managing his reps in practice. So he's not a surprise.
We know football's very day-to-day, Kyle, but do you take a quick walk down memory lane? What goes through your mind when you step on campus here?
Yeah, it's not. It's nice just to be here on campus. I don't get back very much and just sort of roam around and see all the changes. That this didn't exist when I was here, and I haven't been back to see it. So it's beautiful, and then just to wander around campus. So it's really, really nice.
Did you see her banner out there?
No, I did not, but I've been told there's one.
What are some of the things that stand out? I mean, what are some of the memories? I mean, maybe first time on campus or some
Yeah,
football memories too?
Yeah, I guess from an academic standpoint, I mean, where you lived and, driving around the city, where some of the houses you lived off campus and where you lived on campus, and then, just seeing some of the buildings that you took, you had school in, and some of the bars you'd go to. And then from a football standpoint, it's less, honestly, you come to this place and it's less about remembering what you did. It's more like, holy mackerel, look at these changes. This is unbelievable. I was joking with Justin here that the year I was coaching and we made it to the Yates Cup, we're up practicing on the intramural baseball field because the rugby field couldn't be in use and the football field had no lights. So we're up there prepping for the Yates Cup, on a baseball outfield, whereas now this is as good as facilities as anywhere in Canada.
Kyle, Jonathan Cahn comes off the 6th game. What do you expect from him when he gets back on the? I mean, he's back practicing, but in game action.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. As I said, Mike can talk about the roster, but that young man has done nothing but work hard. He's, I speak to Al about him all the time, and he's ready to go. He's excited. If his name comes up, I think he's going to show an enthusiasm, excitement, and his work ethic through this period. He's been frustrated at not being able to play, but the amount of work that young man's put in to rehab that knee and the amount of work on the field, and it was almost, when he was allowed to practice, the offensive guys were like, tone it down a bit. We know you're excited, but he was getting into a little bit of, as you guys who saw last week, some of the O-linemen were telling him to slow it down a little bit because he's just so excited about playing.
Very lucky. There's been so many big NFL names that have come up. How has he been able to star so well? Like, some guys flame out.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the
For Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just loves football. I mean, we saw that right down in Florida. There was no semblance of this is beneath him or that I'm only here because I was wrong. A lot of it is I was wrong by somebody or this, or I was, screwed over by the NFL. None of that with Lucky. He had the greatest attitude from minicamp and excited to be playing football and has been a great teammate and always got a smile on his face. He just loves playing football. He's been a pleasure to be around, and you see the athleticism and his explosiveness, and he's bringing kind of a different dynamic to us. So he's been one of those guys that come up because you just don't know, the way guys with NFL pedigree react, but he's been exactly what you want, and his love of the game has been the what shines through the most with that guy.
Did you kind of have to recruit him at first?
A little bit at first. He was one of the few that was in. We try to go to those mini camps and have contracts in place because the last thing you want is to fall in love with a guy at mini camp and then him not come to training camp. But he, Strebler was one the year before that you try to say, hey, look what we're about, get to know us. I know you aren't agreed upon in contract, but if it doesn't work out the way you want, this is a real good option for you, and this is a real good organization, a real good team. And that worked with Lucky, you know what I mean? I think he took a deep breath after minicamp and realized this is a pretty good option, and he came up and has had a great attitude right from the start.
Kyle, just back to Congo for a second. How versatile do you think he is? Like, I'm wondering, how do you fit a guy like that in? Do you see him playing more than one position? Where's he at?
Well, in college, he was a real good edge pass rusher. You know, he would come off and disrupt, very stout on the run. You'd like to think his athleticism and his skill set can translate to helping out on special teams. We have a pretty good defensive end rotation on our team right now, and our D-line is really solid. So, you know, if he gets the call, like a lot of Canadians getting on the roster, he's going to have to show his value on special teams, and you'd like to think his height, weight, speed, and his exuberance for the game is going to translate well, because he's missed training camp, he's missed a lot. It's unlikely to think on either side of the ball an offensive or defensive coach is just going to implement them right into the system. He's going to have to show his value, that he can do what's expected of him on special teams first, while you start getting acclimated to the defensive side of the ball.
Would that athletic ability, though, maybe make him an option at linebacker too at some point? Or?
Well, as I said, he's done a little bit of everything. He was kind of that rusher. He could drop bass. He's very versatile. And as I said, we're going to ease him along. The plan all along from the day we drafted him was put him on the 6th game. Let's rehab him. Let's not put him in there too early, and let's see. Let's not rush the kid, but he's got a real big upside, and now it's for Richie and Glenn to figure out, where does he fit into the defense, and let's go.
There's a lot of turnover on the offensive line, obviously. How do you think they've handled it through the first 6
Good.
games?
That's been one of the more pleasant surprises this year. I mean, especially with, losing Matthias and Sook. We knew there was going to be some turnover, but we had Patty in there as probably may have had the best year last year of all those guys. And then for Patty to miss a lot of training, to miss all the training camp and still not be on the field, there was some trepidation for sure. And the young guys have filled in. Michael Couture has been great. Jeff Gray, Cody Spellers had their ups and downs, but they've been getting better. And they've been thrown in there to the fire, and they've played some good competition. And Drew Desjardins gets in there, some snaps on the tight end package. So our young guys have done a real good job, and they're physical. Marty does a great job, our O-line coach, at getting them ready and prepping them. And it's different than Drew just being a first-year player. These guys, as I've said this in the offseason, that these guys, we're not just, Michael Couture's paid his dues, Spellers paid his dues. Jeff Gray came up at the end of last year because he wanted to, he begged to come on board, at the last few games of the year last year, so that he could get himself ready to play this year. So, the guys have paid their dues, and they're showing that they're physical and tough, and they're getting better each week.
All right, guys.